Hey guys, welcome back. So today is the very first day of spring. It is March 20th. You guys will be seeing this a few days later, but I'm really excited because I am actually getting some of my cool weather crops planted today. Actually, I'm getting all of them planted today. I am planting out my kale, my cabbage, my broccoli, all of my lettuces, my onions. I'm also direct seeding a few things today. I am direct seeding collards, radishes, kohlrabi, and snow peas. So I'm getting all the cool weather things out, which honestly, it's time. I need to make room to go ahead and get some of my last few things I need to get started downstairs. But either way, I'm just really pumped to get some things in the ground and in the garden. I can't believe it's finally time. I think before I know it, it's going to be July and this place is going to be a complete jungle, which makes me so excited. I was actually watching some old footage to find a clip the other night of what the garden looked like in August, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to look like that before I know it. So very excited, but I figured I would take you guys along for this first day of spring. So I need to go ahead and lay out a few things and get some things planted. Actually, first, I think I'm gonna go inside and change because this is really hot and it's starting to get really warm, which is awesome. All right, much better. All right, so the cabbage is in. I alternated red and green, so I think that will be really pretty. I also put a few of the iceberg lettuces in here. So there were a few things I wanted to mention if you are completely new to transplanting out or seed starting or doing anything in the garden for that matter, is when you are transplanting out plants, make sure you have a tender hand. You wanna make sure you keep as much of that root structure intact as possible. Also, you wanna make sure you water everything in well, just because they're going to be thirsty. They are in a new home. But either way, those are in. Let's move on to onions. All right, so the first thing I need to do with these onions is actually separate them apart. So I did soil blocks for everything this year, but honestly, I don't know if I would soil block onions again just because these got dry pretty fast and onions like to have moist soil. So I actually noticed their growth kind of stunting. But one thing I wanted to mention with this garden bed in particular is I'm doing a lot of intercropping. So if you've never heard of intercropping, what that means is you have different crops in the same bed that mature at different times. So one thing that's actually really cool is this lettuce will mature around end of April, beginning of May. I can harvest it just in time for these guys to need more space for them to mature at the beginning to mid-July. So I think this is really cool. This is the first time I'm doing any type of intercropping, so I'll definitely make sure to keep you guys in the loops. But I wanted to mention that this is one reason why I rewrote most of my garden plans a few weeks ago, is because I really wanted to make sure I did some really cool intercropping this year and kind of learned something new. So let me go ahead and get these all apart. I totally underestimated how long it would take me to do the onions. I planted almost 200 of them, so separating them out, getting them spaced and planted took a while. One thing I wanted to make sure I noted to you guys is if you've never planted onions before, make sure you don't plant them too deep. So you will notice the bulb area is right at the base there where the roots are at. That is where your bulb will form, obviously, and you don't want soil to get trapped into that area when your onion is forming layers. That will cause your storage time to decrease significantly. It can also cause a rotten onion, which you obviously don't want. You spent lots of time and effort because onions take a long time. Last thing on the agenda today is to get this broccoli planted, also the kale, and then I need to direct seed some snow peas and also collards into this bed. So let's go ahead and do that. So all the planting is officially done for the day. One thing I always forget about is I feel like my seedlings always look really big inside until I bring them outside to be planted. And then they look really tiny in their spaces for the next like 2 to 3 weeks. Last thing I wanted to mention before I let you guys go is I wanted to talk about compost real fast. I didn't want to devote an entire video to this, but I have been getting a lot of questions lately on what I do for compost. Honestly, I don't have any rhyme or reason. I kind of just throw stuff in here and hope for the best. So one thing to know is don't overthink it, to be completely honest. If you're wanting to do a hot compost pile, honestly, there is a little bit more rhyme and reason when it comes to that. But one thing I have noticed is you want brown stuff, you want green stuff, and kind of the seasons already do that for you to where you have a lot of brown leaves, then you have a lot of green stuff coming out of the garden. So you kind of just layer up. I don't really know if this is making any sense or not. My whole thing is don't overthink it. This pile right here, this one here, is actually probably going to be done, I would say here in a few weeks. And this was mostly everything I took out of the garden last year, a bunch of my food scraps from inside the house. Now this second portal is where all of my food scraps go. But honestly, other than that, I don't overthink it. I kind of just throw some stuff over here. Your compost will let you know if it needs something. If it smells weird and it doesn't smell fresh, you know something balance is off. If anything happens, it will tell you. Last year, for example, we actually had some maggots over here, and it was simply because we didn't have enough ratio of green and brown, but we were heading right into fall where we were getting a ton of brown to add in, and everything balanced out really easy. So again, do not overthink it. I just wanted to mention this at the end of the video today. If you guys were considering building yourself a compost area, because it really does come in handy when you are backyard gardening. Hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me today on this very first day of spring. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye.